Hi, and welcome to a Drafthouse Diary for Thursday, January 4th, 2024, when I went to the Alamo Drafthouse at Sloan's Lake to see American Fiction. I'd been looking forward to this movie. I expected to like it. Jeffrey Wright is amazing, so any movie that he stars in is going to have some points going forward at the beginning. But there was so much more to like about this movie than I knew going in. The overall outline of this movie, which you'll know if you've seen the trailer, is that Jeffrey Wright plays a literature professor and a literary novelist, Thelonious Monk Ellison. And he is not a terribly successful novelist. He writes these weighty, complex, philosophically important, well-crafted, superb use of language, wonderful novels, and nobody buys them, and therefore nobody wants to publish them. And meanwhile, he sees other novels being published and lauded and selling by the millions, and he sees these novels that are supposedly portraying the authentic Black American experience as just shallow, exploitative junk. And in frustration, just to get it out of his system, he writes his version of that kind of novel, something that is just exploiting every stereotype he can think of, everything that some audiences would expect to be part of the Black American experience. And it's a tremendous hit. And suddenly he is stuck with this successful novel from which he kind of needs the money. And this alter ego he created as the author of this novel, and the complications this brings to his real life. Now, that's an interesting movie. That's the basis for a comedy, and there's a lot of comedy in this movie. But the movie has so much more than that, because so much of the movie it's really a character-driven family drama about Ellison and about all the members of his family and what they're dealing with. And a lot of that, I think, is very important because it contrasts this experience that is represented in these novels that Ellison dislikes and eventually writes, and the experience of Ellison and his family. He's in a family which has had 2 generations of physicians. He's kind of the odd one out because he's a tenured university professor and a published novelist, rather than being a physician like his 2 siblings and his father. And they have had an upper middle class American existence that seems utterly unlike the supposedly authentic Black American experience that's represented in these novels. And first of all, that's a terrific story. We get a lot of great acting, a lot of great story, a lot of great drama from the story of Ellison's family. But we also get that contrast between these books and his experience. But what we eventually get, what eventually comes through in these combination of stories, is the message that there is a danger and there's an inaccuracy in the assumption that there is any single monolithic experience that some identifiable group of people may have. It is just as big a mistake to assume that every Black American lives the kind of life that Ellison and his family have lived over the years, which by no means has been perfect and easy for them. It's had its own difficulties. It's just as inaccurate and implausible to assume that everyone has an experience that involves drugs and gangs and gunfights and siblings being shot by police officers. The kinds of things that are in these books that are at the heart of this movie. There's a lot in here that I know I'm not qualified to comment on, but I found a lot in this movie to think about, and a lot in this movie that was funny, and a lot in this movie that was very, very moving. So I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it more and in different ways than I expected to enjoy it. Other parts of my trip to the Alamo, definitely a pre-show that was crafted for this movie. It started with a long educational newsreel kind of movie about book production and printing presses. I think I've seen that before in other Alamo pre-shows. But it also had other clips and trailers and shorts about books and writing and literature. So it was an interesting theme. And one of the things towards the end was the trailer for the movie Basquiat, which was the first feature film in which Jeffrey Wright starred as the title character. So it was fun to see that in perspective of what he's been doing more recently, like his work with Wes Anderson and work like this movie. So the pre-show was a lot of fun. I did get some food and drink. I got an iced tea, and I got the fried chicken sandwich, which is the version that's upgraded on their most recent main menu update. And it was very good. Their fried chicken sandwich I've always enjoyed. The staff and the theater is still decked out for the holidays. That's, again, always fun to see. A little bit different from the way they do it at some other locations like Westminster. I like those differences. And the staff at Sloan's Lake is always very friendly, always very helpful. Really like the staff at Sloan's Lake. The theater could still use some refurbishing, but the people are always great. I did have a little trouble with the app and therefore with my ticket under my Alamo season pass. I wound up having to reboot my phone and update the app and do a few things, and eventually I was able to use my ticket. It was giving me an error message that said, you can't see this ticket unless you have your Alamo season pass installed on this phone. But when I went to my settings, I could confirm, yes, I have the Alamo season pass installed on this phone. But like I say, eventually I performed the right rituals, apparently, and was able to use my ticket. Not the first time I've had trouble with the Alamo app and Alamo tickets, especially with that season pass. But all in all, still a great visit to the movies. If you enjoyed this Drafthouse Diary, please click that like button down below. If you want more of these, click the subscribe button. But most important, thank you very much for joining me this time. I'll be back soon, and in the meantime, enjoy your movies, and when you do, stay till the end of the credits.